My big picture continues what we've been talking about, the Lions rebuild and how they can get to contention eventually. This is all about giving contention and not giving up a ton of assets to do it. What is the hardest part for a rebuilding football team? I think pretty much everyone would agree it's getting your quarterback. How many times have we seen, even if you tank and get the top pick and pick a quarterback, he doesn't pan out? People in Chicago would well know this. They gave up a lot of draft capital to move up to number two, draft their quarterback. For whatever reason, whether you blame coaching or the player himself or a combination of the two, it didn't work out. This is a common thing. The theme here is you need to take often several shots to get your quarterback position right. And the reason this is so dangerous for rebuilding teams and why teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars are stuck rebuilding for a decade plus is because it's so hard to get quarterback right. They don't pan out frequently and they cost so much to acquire. What did Chicago give up to trade up and get Mitch Trubisky? Just last season, what did the Niners give up to go up to number 3 and draft Trey Lance? This is a huge acquisition. And even if you're sitting there like the Lions this year with the number 2 pick, well, now there's not a quarterback worthy of taking at number 2 this season. And maybe there is, but you're still blowing a number 2 pick on somebody that has the most volatile pan-out rate in the entire sport. So the point is, if you're getting lottery tickets, you want as many as you can for as cheap as possible, and you want to use them in ways that have the highest percentage of panning out. There happens to be a lottery ticket out there right now in the league waiting for a new home, and that lottery ticket is Baker Mayfield. And I think Baker Mayfield would be the perfect acquisition for the Detroit Lions for several reasons. Number one, it's usually incredibly costly to acquire a quarterback. He's going to be cheap because the Browns are desperate to get rid of him. They don't have anywhere to put Baker Mayfield. They went and traded Deshaun Watson. Baker demanded a trade out of there. He doesn't want anything to do with Cleveland, and Cleveland doesn't need 2 starting caliber quarterbacks. So already they're desperate to get him out of there. I don't know if you guys have noticed lately, but Cleveland's phone has not been blowing up for teams trying to trade for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield maybe could be had for like a 3rd round pick. I don't know what he's actually going to go for. Maybe it's a late first, maybe it's a second, maybe it's a conditional 1st round pick that could be a 2nd or a 3rd pick. What I do know is if it's not a top 25 pick, even if it was around that area, right? Like you're not giving up a top 10 pick, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on Baker Mayfield. And you might say, why? Baker Mayfield sucks. Baker Mayfield hasn't performed. He's a midget quarterback that was a walk-on in college, and he's not cut out for the NFL. Well, I've seen this story before, and I want to be very clear up front here. I'm not saying that Baker Mayfield is going to be Drew Brees. So when I get attacked at the audacity that I have of comparing Baker Mayfield and Drew Brees, I want you to understand where I'm coming from, and that what I am comparing is their first few years in the league that are kind of identical. You see, Drew Brees went to a not that good San Diego team. And Drew Brees started in San Diego for 4 years, just like Baker Mayfield has in Cleveland. Drew Brees played 59 games for San Diego. Baker Mayfield's played 60 games for the Cleveland Browns. Okay, you see where I'm going with this, right? Well, let's see how they did. Baker Mayfield, average yards an attempt, 7. Drew Brees, average yards an attempt in San Diego, 6.8. Those are similar numbers. Passer rating, 84.9 for Drew Brees. Passer rating for Baker Mayfield, 87.8. These are very similar numbers. What did these quarterbacks have knocked on them when they came out of college? They're short quarterbacks. Drew Brees only 6 foot. There's not a lot of 6 foot signal callers in the NFL. Baker Mayfield 6'1". We have seen Baker Mayfield have success in the NFL in a lot of ups and downs. 2 years ago, a couple years ago, he had a pretty darn decent season. A couple years before he was on the outs in San Diego, in large part due to a shoulder injury, Drew Brees had a pretty good season. What happened to Baker Mayfield this last year? He injured his shoulder. He tried to play through a shoulder injury. Let's not forget that Baker Mayfield led Cleveland to the playoffs. Who is the last quarterback to lead Cleveland to the playoffs? This is a quarterback that, to me, there's so many similarities. Touchdown percentage for Baker Mayfield, 4.8. Drew Brees in San Diego, 4.4. Interception percentage, both quarterbacks, 2.9%. Both quarterbacks their first 4 years starting in the league. Such similar profiles. Why does this matter? Does this mean Baker Mayfield's going to turn into Drew Brees? No. Drew Brees got in the right spot in New Orleans with the right coach and developed a ton. But what it does mean is that the book is far from written on Baker Mayfield in a modern league where we want to write the book on quarterbacks after a year or 2 years and act like that they cannot blossom or change or evolve. Baker Mayfield gave Cleveland more success than they've had in so long, if not ever, right? And now they're done with him because they want to get the next new shiny toy in. And Baker, coming off a shoulder injury, needing to rejuvenate his career, why couldn't he do it in Detroit? Why couldn't he be our Drew Brees? I don't know if he's going to, but to me, it's a risk worth taking because quarterbacks are hard to hit. And that's a lottery pick that's not costing you 3 first-round picks to trade up and get. So you get him. He's making like $18 million this year. Even if he doesn't pan out, he's a much better bridge quarterback than Jared Goff, and he'll certainly make us much more interesting to watch, which is not ever why you go and acquire assets, but it's a perk being a fan, right? He comes here and you say, listen, you're trying to rejuvenate your career. If you wash out here, you're probably never going to start in the NFL again. A la Jared Goff is probably never going to start in the NFL again outside of like injuries or just an exceptionally bad team. You offer him, hey, we'll extend your deal. We'll give you 2 years and another $40 million. You get a little bit of job security. $20 million for a quarterback's nothing in today's league, especially while we're rebuilding. Maybe he takes the deal, maybe he doesn't. But then you get a couple years while you're rebuilding to figure out if he's your long-term answer. And if he's your long-term answer, you've solved the hardest problem to solve. And if he's not, if he never gets on that Drew Brees trajectory, what did it cost you? A second-round pick? Some money? You have to pay a quarterback anyway. It doesn't cost you a lot to find out. And then you didn't waste a ton of draft capital, and now you can actually make a move to get your replacement. And again, Baker Mayfield is a funner and better bridge to your next quarterback. There is so little downside here, and it's another lottery ticket. Take your chance, Detroit. Go get Baker Mayfield.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a way. Yeah.